way, and can also produce the explanations in a more interpretable way, which can eventually lead to better insights on the behavior of the model, the reason behind a certain prediction by a model, which can eventually solve this problem of accepting adoption of AI. Now, like I briefly touched upon the problem statement and the solution also that we're expecting, I want to quickly talk about how explainable AI can actually help in a variety of places. Uh, First one is establishing the trust on AI solution. Here, the trust is required to be built, like I said, not only on the model behavior to understand the model's behavior holistically, but also to be able to understand the reason behind a particular prediction that a model has made, so that one can actually decide whether, even though the model chosen is looking good, the prediction for a particular instance is still acceptable or not. So those are some of the instances where bringing in explainable AI can greatly help. Apart from that, explainability can also help in understanding the reason behind some spurious correlations, if at all, some kind of bias, if biased data, if on that the model is working, and eventually can help in improving the untrustworthy model, because now there would be better understanding of the features based on which a model's behavior was coming out, and hence necessary actions can be taken proactively so as to improve the untrustworthiness of the model. So that is about trust. And needless to say that now in the industry, there are more and more efforts which are happening, more and more government efforts also are happening in this space, so as to see how AI can be converted into a responsible AI or fair AI, right? And for that, governments are also working towards writing number of compliance regulations, and coming up with GDPR and audit regulations around this area, in which explainable AI can be a major building block. Yeah, and the other things, like I said, increasing the fairness and helping in informed decision making are some of the aspects that explainable AI can help me address. Now, I want to share a very quick example which can actually give a glimpse that when explainability is applied correctly, how it can help in identifying some of the spurious correlations or features based on which a model could be acting, and hence the bias is identified and necessary actions can be taken. So in this picture, we're talking about two different animals. One is wolf, another one is husky. If you see in all of these pictures, one thing which was coming out was actually the picture was of wolf, and the model predicted to be it as a wolf. In the second picture, the actual outcome was husky, and model also predicted husky. Now, similarly in the third picture, but if we just come to this picture where the actual animal picture is a husky, but it was predicted as wolf, and similarly in the other cases also, when the wolf was in the plain ground, it was understood to be husky. So that's where by analyzing these features based on which the model was taking the decision. So here it is showing what were the important features based on which the model actually took the decision of identifying this animal or this picture as a wolf. In this case, these were the main features based on which the model identified the animal to be husky. And if you can now clearly see that the parameters based on which the model decision was based was completely spurious. So explanations and coming up with the features based on which a model takes a certain decision becomes very helpful in this case to understand that the data which would have been picked right in first place to train the model was biased. Any picture of wolf was always having snow in the background, and any picture of husky was always having plain land in the background, and hence there should be extra effort done so as to collect better data with more permutation and combination. So this is one example where explaining the features based on which a model is taking a certain decision is very helpful, right? Now moving on, to talk more about the challenge, you can see the details of the challenge on the link. I briefly talked about the expectation, and I want to now talk about quickly on the training data set. So we have actually given a sample training data set over here. It's an open source data set of food reviews, and the target variable is score. You would get to see it in the training data. I'm not opening it right now because all the details are otherwise available in the link as well. Now, some of the characteristic of the data is the data set features consists of varied kind of tabular features like categorical, numerical, as well as text. And the expectation is to be able to build a holistic XAI framework which can explain the classification, model, and the model could lie in variety of ranges. It could be a simple traditional model like linear SVC. It could be logistic regression. It could be an ensemble method of medium to high complexity, or it could be a deep neural network with 3+ hidden layers, CNN, so on and so forth. However, along with an XAI framework which is holistic, which can work in model on model agnostic way, one of the important expectation is also to have a performant XAI framework, which can work on different variety of models. Again, it could be on classification models itself, but ranging from simpler models to medium difficulty models. And if a framework is suitable to complex models like LSTM, RSN, RNN, and attention-based models, that will be a bonus. And all kept within the limits of performance. Also, agnostic to the fact that the data size is increasing. So here, the training data set that we have provided is, again, like I said, sample data set, but participants are free to choose most suitable data set of their choice in case they find that data set to be helpful in meeting this expectation. An evaluation document also has been submitted, has been linked here, also can be found in this link, but we will shortly talk about some of the evaluation criteria. Okay, now expected outcome in being able to build an XAI framework, which is holistic, are divided into 3 categories from our end: basic, intermediate, and advanced. So in basic category, an XAI model uh, should be suitable to generate explanations which are business friendly explanations and performant on different classification models, and also on different sizes of data. The data set should be containing text, numerical, and categorical for sure, at least in the basic expectation. And another aspect is to be able to generate explanations which are human understandable. So for that, participants can take the help of generating more intuitive plots as the output plots, where the explanations on local explanations and global explanations are more understandable, so that eventually in the decision-making process, the gap between prediction and expectation can be bridged. So that is also one of the important expectations, to be able to produce the explanations in a format which brings out that business understandability and interpretability in a better way. And like I said, global and local explanations, which means to be able to explain the model behavior overall, but also to be able to explain individual predictions also. While you're trying to attempt this under basic category, because the data set that we have provided at least has text features as well, so you would require to use text embeddings. Under basic category, you can go with simpler embedding techniques like bag of words. Now, when we move to intermediate expectation, we would want you to generate the explanations which is also context specific. it should be able to also explain the context of the data set as well as the certain prediction. And again, the time taken to generate the explanation should not be an overhead. The performance is an important aspect. Multi-level explanations would be helpful, like starting from high-level explanations to going to the low level, so that the users can easily navigate and the explanations are not very overwhelming. Again, the XAI model or the XAI framework should be created in such a way that it is easily integratable with business applications, because ultimately the different AI solutions find success is with the within the bigger, is when they're embedded within the bigger business applications. And hence, when an AI solution is working in an embedded fashion with business applications, it's equally important to have an explainability framework also, which is quite easy to integrate, right? Now, the technical approach that you can use so as to achieve these models, it can be dependent upon open source technologies. There are a lot of different open source technologies which give out the box explanations on ML models. However, we would be keen to see from participants to not get restricted to only open source technologies, and to try and come up to go beyond open source and try to come up with a more holistic framework, right? And in the intermediate level, we would expect you to also move from simpler techniques to more difficult ones, like word embeddings, word to word. Is there a question? Okay. Moving on, under advanced section, what we would expect is that eventually the data set that we have given is a classification scenario which falls under supervised learning. We would love to see if the participants can take up a little more complicated data set and can help in generating more model agnostic explanations also on image data sets and LSTM to attention based models. Because like I said, more the complexity, more black box is the nature of the models, and hence it reduces the decision-making process because of less interpretability. And that is why under advanced stage, we would want participants to be able to pick more difficult or complex models. It could be on the same data set, or if participants choose to move to another data set and pick image related one, they're free. However, the basic expectations should be met so as to be able to generate XAI framework, which is performant, model agnostic, and can generate explanations which are business understandable. And this whole framework should be able to be integrated within business applications in an easy way. The embeddings can be chosen from bag of words, word embeddings to sentence embeddings as well. Now, evaluation criteria is very much similar to what we had seen from Entron as well. We would judge you on the code quality, technology, the architecture used, how the design is, how the overall usability, like I said, implementation and performance, model agnostic, so on and so forth, which I've already covered. So this is in brief the evaluation criteria. Like I said, we have also created a separate submission form, which will give you more details on how the submission should be made. So that's all from my end. Open for Q&A.
Thank you so much, Shipra. Participants, you can go ahead and use the chat to ask any questions that you might have with respect to the problem statement. Meanwhile, Shipra, there is one particular question, but it came in the beginning of the presentation, so you can let us know if this still needs elaboration. The participant wants us to explain if the model is developed to solve a particular use case, the developer can explain the model to the client. If client is not believing into the model, why would they believe the explanation given by the model?
So, see, that is a myth. I would say that when a model is developed and the model developer has tried to explain to the client, that is enough. So, in the traditional methods, the explanations that data scientists could still generate was easier if the model picked were traditional models like logistic regression, linear regression, so on and so forth, which are more equation-based models, or for that matter, decision trees, right? Where the rule-based understanding can bring the explainability well. However, when the model complexity increases, especially in case of neural networks, deep learning, attention-based models, so on and so forth, the explanation is not as straightforward even by data scientists, right? And that is why this niche area has actually gained a lot of traction and a lot of research, and now a specific study and implementations are coming in the market where through technical ways uh, data scientists should be able to explain the model's behavior. So it's a specific research space, and with the help of specific technical implementations, the explanations that can be generated can also tackle those complex black box nature of the model, and can bring the understandability and visibility to the decision making process of the model better. So yeah, I would say that one should not just stop on building a model and trying to manually explain it, because when the model grows to complex in nature, even data scientists cannot do a job because it's all hidden. So yeah.
Uh, can I interrupt? Like, I just have the question. What I asked is basically how are we supposed to validate the correctness of explanation? So because earlier, there is a model, right, and the client is not believing or is not trusting the model, and now the same model, like using some XI framework, we are trying to explain that model. So how do we validate the correctness of that? How should client believe? Like this is
So I would say that's a very good question. And so far, there are no automated ways in which the correctness of the explainability can be judged, right? At least nothing that even we have come across. If the participants are able to again figure out something and give some automated ways, then it would be cherry on the top. But so far, so one thing which has to be very clearly understood is when we're generating the explanations, the explanations are to be generated to explain the model's behavior. That's it. So beyond that, once the explanations are generated to validate, so far data scientists depend upon domain experts so as to do the validations as to whether the explainability is actually matching, right? So far the validations had been with the help of domain experts and more manual. Again, one can do a little bit more effort so as to also take some pointers from that exercise along with the domain experts to do the validation and convert that into some kind of automation, right? But yeah, domain experts are the ones who can help us here a lot so as to understand the explanations are actually trustable or not.
yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you so much. We have another question. Do we need to showcase our model in some front-end architecture?
No expectation on that as of now. But if participants feel that to present the model XCI framework in some kind of a front end, so as to bring out the idea and the basic expectations well, they are free to choose any. I would say to build, I mean, even a Jupyter Notebook implementation, again, as per the evaluation document that has been submitted, one should read through that and try and understand more. But more importantly, the idea should come out as in how the explanations are generated and how business understandable they are. So the focus can be more on those rather than trying to bring up a new UI and to integrate or view these explanations via the UI.
Thank you, Shipra. There is a question that is being repeated, which is, as a beginner to take up this problem statement, what are the prerequisites?
Okay, as a beginner to take up this problem statement, I think first thing, a bit of research on explainability space should be done to understand what all are the niche techniques which are going on in this space. To read some more research paper and to get an idea on what is the problem statement that you have at hand and what are the kind of research that's come out in meeting such kind of expectations so far. Like I also said that there are some open source libraries already available, which kind of tackle some portions of the expectations that we have given. But again, they are not holistic, and that's where the hackathon comes to the picture, right? We want to see if participants can go also beyond what is already available and try and come up with some better ways so as to do the model agnostic business friendly explanations, and of course in a performant way. So each of these expectations that has been given in form of words um, should be understood well in terms of reading, in terms of doing the research, in terms of maybe trying a little bit of implementation using open source technologies before one is ready to attempt for the problem. And yeah, like I said, that we have given a sample data set, but if participants feel that they can prove this expectation by choosing another data set, please feel free.
That also answers another question, which is, are participants expected to acquire some other data set as well? One question, which is Aryaman's, this is a follow-up question to his previous question about front end. So Aryaman wants to further know whether, in case they do not integrate a front end, will the submission in a CSV format be acceptable?
So all the expectations have been given in the document, and yeah, I would request the participant to actually go over the evaluation document, and in case this question is not answered, then connect back with us.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much, Apra. I think we're right on time. Any final words for our participants before they begin?
No, I would also like to say all the best, and I would say that this is also one of the very niche areas where a lot of research is happening and a lot of traction is there, and an important pillar so as to enhance the adoption of AI in the industry. So yeah, I think people are in the right place, and all the best